Welcome to Cash in the Cyber Sheets. I'm your host, James Bowers, and together we'll work with business leaders and industry experts to dive into the misunderstood business of cybersecurity and compliance to learn how to start making money from being secure and compliant. Welcome to Cash in the Cyber Sheets. Hey everybody, welcome back to Cash in the Cyber Sheets. I'm your host, James Bowers, Chief Security and Compliance Architect here at Input Output. Very happy to have you back here with us today. And have you ever felt like you've done everything you're supposed to do with your email? You've got everything set up correctly, you're confident it's all done, and your emails just keep disappearing into spam or getting rejected, or people just aren't responding. Is it really that they just don't want to respond to you, or are they not getting your emails? It could be that you have your SPF, DKIM, and or DMARC set up incorrectly, and it's causing you issues and causing your emails to not get there. Now, we are not going to go in today all of the particulars about SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. We actually did that on our last episode. What we're going to dive in today are the major issues that people have with their configurations, how you can quickly fix those, and how to make sure that you've got it set up correctly so that your emails get to the inbox and you get your sales and the conversations you're trying to have. Before we continue on, please click that like, click that subscribe wherever you're listening to us at, and drop us a line in comments to hear about the things that you're having trouble with that you'd like us to talk about on the show. And also, if there's anything that's working very well for you in your organization, would love to hear that, because always like to celebrate the success. Also, if you're a business owner, which I believe many of you are, we would love to have you on the show to share some of your expertise, things that are working for you, and also different things that you would just like to discuss about your business. So drop us a line and let us know. All right, so let's get into it today. Like I said, last week we actually talked about what SPF, DKIM, and DMARC were. We dived a lot into those protocols. And this week what we're going to do is, like I said, actually dive into the major issues that people have that continues to result in their emails still not getting to where they need to be. Now, number one, and this is one of the biggest traps, it is kind of an umbrella to everything else that we're going to talk about, but it's the set it and forget it trap, to where you spend all this time setting up SPF, all this time getting your DKIM all set up correctly, all the keys, getting DMARC tuned, and then you just forget about it. You move on and you don't ever come back to it. And the problem is that your email systems are not static. The tools that you're using are not static. They are always changing. So you need to make sure that you're constantly reviewing and updating all of your email records to make sure they continue to stay relevant with how you are doing business and how your business is changing. It's really like if you were to set up a security camera and then never look at any of the footage. It's not doing any good for you. And maybe not the best analogy there, but I guess the biggest thing I can say is you cannot fall into the set it and forget it trap. You need to make sure once you have everything set up that you continue to review it and you continue to make changes as the business changes and evolves. And it's not just your business changing, but all of the vendors that you use and all of the suppliers and vendors that they use. There's a lot of hands in this cookie jar of your email deliverability, and you need to make sure that you're constantly addressing all of those. All right. Now, with the set it and forget it trap said, we're going to go into the top 5 reasons that SPF, DKIM, and DMARC fail, the top 5 authentication failures. And the number one issue that we see time and time again is missing or incorrect DNS records. Now, this comes down to typos, forgetting a hyphen, putting an extra space, not putting a colon. And when you're looking at some of these records, which are very, very long, it can seem like it's set up correctly, but it's actually not. The next is actually too many SPF lookups. Now, we have talked about it before, but SPF has a very strict requirement, very strict limit of only 10 lookups. So you need to make sure that you're not exceeding that. Where this can sometimes become a problem is if you have include statements in your SPF record, which everybody does. If behind those includes are more than 10 lookups, or if those have multiple lookups, they can quickly start stacking up on top of each other to where without even realizing it, you're going past your 10 lookup requirement. And this is a difficult one if you're not using a tool to analyze this, to where if you're looking at your record and you count, well, I've only got 2, 3, or 4 in my SPF, I'm well away from that 10 lookup. Well, if nested within those, they have more, that's where it can become an issue. And that's where you really need a tool to make sure that you've got all of this set up correctly. The third issue that we see is issues with forwarding. Now, if you have DKIM and DMARC set up correctly, this becomes less of an issue. But with forwarding, it breaks SPF. So this is where if you're going through another system, it forwards the email. If everything else isn't set up correctly, this could be causing your emails to go to spam or get rejected outright. So this is another instance where you want to have monitoring, where you want to have a tool that can actually see where the email's going, which of our emails are getting forwarded, and for the ones that are getting forwarded, is there something we can do to fix that? A lot of times, forwarding is actually an issue with certain email security systems to where they're not set up correctly. It's causing a forward, and that company is actually missing out on a lot of their emails. So if you are monitoring this, if you're staying up on it, you can actually reach out and let them know, hey, your security tool's actually killing a lot of the deliverability. You need to make a small tweak. All right. Now, coming to our fourth issue is expired or stale DKIM keys. Now, this really falls under the set it and forget it, where people believe that once DKIM is set up, that it's good. These keys actually rotate. If they're from your platform, they should rotate. You should be rotating your DKIM keys at least annually. If you're under another platform, however, those keys can randomly rotate. Now, they should be letting you know when they're going to do that. And in a perfect world, that always happens. Since we don't live in a perfect world, it happens a lot of times without any notice whatsoever. And if you're monitoring everything, you can see that you just start having a lot of DKIM failures. And it's normally because the key rotated. So you want to go in there, make sure you're updating these records appropriately so that you have the correct keys and they match up to all of your vendors that you're using. Finally is misaligned domains. So this is where the from domain doesn't exactly match where the email is actually coming from. And this happens a lot with a lot of marketing platforms where, let's say, it's signing tool.example.net, but the email is actually showing as from yourbrand.com. Now, a lot of this typically just comes down to how you have the marketing platform set up, how you have the records set up, and there are ways to set that up correctly. But if it's not done right, this is, again, one of the top issues that we see. Now, it didn't actually make our list here, and I've always got to put it, but is actually forgetting to put one of your platforms. So you set up a new marketing platform, you set up a new email sender, and you forget to add their SPF includes, you forget to add their DKIM records, and so on and so forth. This happens a lot with different teams working independently of each other. And if you're not monitoring, it can go undiscovered for an extremely long time. Now, some quick wins for small businesses around DMARC. Here are some quick things that you can do to make sure that you're getting everything set up correctly. Is number one, make sure you only have one SPF record for your domain. Now, typically, you can also have just one SPF record, which will cover your subdomains. You want to double check that against each of your platforms. Some platforms, the way that they make their calls, actually want to have an SPF record for your subdomain too, which is perfectly okay as long as you set it up correctly. Number two, we talked about it, rotate those DKIM keys. Make sure to do that at least annually. Next, when setting up DMARC, do not jump all the way in. First, start with none. Then as you start getting things tightened up, move that to quarantine. And then once you're sure everything is set up correctly, because you've been monitoring, you've been looking at the reports, you can move that to reject to protect yourself the best from spoofing and also get the biggest reputation boost. Next, review your DMARC reports at least monthly, not annually. If you can review them sooner, do that. Also, before you make any changes, test those changes, make measured adjustments, and make sure that you know what platforms you're bringing on, how those need to be set up so that you can monitor to make sure those are set up correctly. That brings us to the end of today's episode. SPF, DKIM, DMARC, we've talked about it a lot. We'll talk about it a lot more, but they are very powerful tools that can help you secure your domain. They can help make sure that people aren't spoofing your email, destroying your brand, and also help you get your emails into the inbox. But if it's not set up correctly, it can absolutely devastate where your emails are going and your deliverability. So don't let all of those hidden issues creep up and cause you problems. And we'll have the links in the description, but definitely use our free tools to check your SPF records, check your DKIM, and check your DMARC setup to make sure it's set up correctly, and where it's not, to be able to quickly get that resolved. And if you're wanting to make it even easier to manage all of this, you can definitely check out the IO ClickSafe email tool, which makes it very easy to set this up and even easier to monitor it and make sure everything stays the way it's supposed to. Everybody, thank you so much for listening, and until next time. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget, click that subscribe button, leave us a review, and share it with your network. Remember, security and compliance aren't just about avoiding risk. They're about unlocking your business's full potential. So stay secure, stay compliant, and we'll catch you next week on Cash in the Cyber Sheets. Goodbye for now. Life goes up